Imagine that magically on this green screen a Mako photo appears with a sound like this is your god. This is Mako, the best controller on the planet. And you want to be like him. You want to be the master of the smokes. But before you're gonna become Mako, you need to learn the basics. And this video will tell you just right that, how to become a good smoker. The basics of defensive smokes. Let's start with anchoring a site. It's very important to understand where is the point which your opponent needs to go through to do an execute. And in most cases, this is at the edge of the doorway or the choke point that is on the site. So we need to understand this line over here. When someone crosses through this line over here, they're gonna do an execute. But till they go through this line, they are still not really attacking you. So how to do a smoke that will make sure that will be effective against this line? So now that we know that this is the line of our site, we cannot go through this line with our smoke. So our defensive smoke when we are on the site is gonna look something like this. The point of this smoke is to make sure that when your opponent is going out of the smoke, he is going out in the open, fully exposed to every single angle, without the ability to checking anything before he goes onto the site. I'm gonna put the smoke again. And because of that, it's easy to hold the crosser in the proper position against an opponent like that, because your opponent will not be running out. There's a lot of players that actually do a smoke incorrectly on defense, even at Immortal 3 and Radiant, that is gonna be looking something like this. So now, as you see, the smoke is leaking onto the site. That is a smoke that benefits the attackers because it goes through this lane that I showed you in on the map. Now imagine if that smoke is looking like this, and as an attacker, I'm gonna be standing here. Now I can go out of the smoke, not be like exposed to the angles over here, and if a defender is holding this smoke, he has really hard time holding the correct angle, because the opponents can go out of almost every side of this smoke and just run out. So maybe the opponent is gonna be here, maybe here, maybe here, maybe here, maybe here, right? The difference is huge. So that's your first step of learning a defensive smoke. It needs to be behind this line over here. And because of that, look at how easy it is to hold an angle like this. Your opponents will be either running out of this or this point, and never anything else. And when they are going out, they have to check every single call. Next step is learning a more advanced smokes, which is the smokes that create pressure and take map control from your opponents. When playing on the A side, and if you're not anchoring on the side itself, you can try one of those. You can do the one way over here that will allow you to hold the angle while your opponent peeks into the unknown. He can pre-fire you because this is like the best position to hold this smoke, but you should be seeing him first. Now you can also get into advantageous spots because you are able to hold this from a different level. Whenever you're lower or higher, you have the possibility to maneuver yourself in a spot where your opponent will never see you before you see him, in case you do a one-way smoke. That's one of the options when it comes to denying the space, because your opponent needs to reuse utility now to take the space, to take the orb, and to go onto the site. Another smoke that I like to do to create a little bit pressure towards my opponents is to do like this defensive smoke that is very basic, but a few steps forward, so like this. Because of that, it's also pretty good to hold this corridor because it still leaves a little bit space, a very small space for the attackers to maneuver, but what it does, it creates a lot of pressure on my opponents to check wine. As you can see, the opponents coming into A main are not able to fully see what's happening here on this area, because they don't know if anyone is crossing into wine and they have to re-clear it. There's also a possibility I'm just gonna play just in my smoke with maybe a judge or a weapon, or I'll be just standing outside of the smoke waiting for them to enter into this area. You need to remember though that the smoke from Omen is 14 seconds long. Astra smoke is 15 seconds long, and Brimstone smoke is 19 seconds long. So you need to remember the duration and feel how long this smoke will stay up. Now this kind of smoke is very effective when it comes to making sure that your opponents use precious utility before they go onto the site. Because either they go on foot without any utility and risk being exposed and killed, or they will use utility that should have been used on site instead of they're gonna be using it online. That is incredibly valuable for you. For this guide, we're gonna do a little bit more advanced smoke right now as well to show you the possibilities. When you're playing an anchor on site and you use one smoke for the standard stuff to stop the initial push, but then you're being attacked anyway and our opponents are going on site, you can do a smoke in the middle of the site to make sure that you can maneuver onto the site without being spotted and dip in and out of the smoke to take gunfights, or maybe use your flash or blind or paranoia or anything and peek out to make sure that you're not being cleared before you go out of that smoke. Those smokes in the middle are very effective on many sites that you have the possibility to put it in between two pieces of cover, like this. You have the same position on Haven, for example, when you put it between the boxes on the site, on A side, and the platform. This kind of smoke you're gonna see actually Marco use a lot when it comes to defending the site, and it's super effective for him. But again, this is more advanced and requires a little bit more knowledge. So when you start to use smokes, start with the basics. I hope you guys learned something today, and we're gonna do more advanced smokes and also attack smokes in the next guide. Bye bye!